I was delighted to have the opportunity to talk with race director of the Balor Multisport race, Sean Stewart, this evening. Also on the call, we have Kevin O'Brien, who was third male on the podium, and also Sharon Ward, who was joint third female on the podium as well. Really good tight racing there with the three guys, nothing between them. The race was changing lead all the time. Also in the females race, it was really good. It was quite tight there for a while between Kellyanne and Laura O'Driscoll, and obviously with the two females that were third, joined third overall, also having a nice tit for tat along the way. It's also a great opportunity to speak to Sean. He's well versed in racing. He does a lot of racing both here at home and also abroad. Not long back from New Zealand, from doing coast to coast. He's second goat at this time. So it was good to get an idea of what he was hoping for with the course and the layout of it. Also, having the opportunity to talk to Kevin and Sharon about how they felt about racing the course was also really good. So, without further ado, I let them tell you all about it.
Hi, guys. Welcome to ARI podcast this evening. Thanks very much for joining me. I suppose I just want to introduce everyone. So I have Kevin with us, who's an adventure racer, and he was in the top three finishing of the Balor adventure race or multi-sport race over the weekend before last. We have Sharon here as well with us, who was joined third place on the ladies podium, which was great to see. And we have the RD himself, Sean, who's obviously not too long back from New Zealand after doing a nice long day event over there, which is well known coast to coast. So I suppose, Sean, if we kick off with you first, maybe just discussing, obviously coming from racing, you're very familiar with it, to changing the hat to race director. I suppose, was there a bit of FOMO on the day that you weren't out there with the lads, or was it just head down and get on with the business in hand?
Yeah, it's definitely a different role to be playing. I would have loved to have been racing for sure. It's kind of event I'd be searching out for myself, that distance and the disciplines. But no, in fairness, it was great to sit back and watch the race and to see the lads battle it out and the girls for the podium positions and that. And then obviously we had teams involved as well. So no, I was delighted with how it went. You know, it was a lot of work, a lot of build up. I mean, it's probably 3 or 4 years in the planning really, and I suppose really the last years was poured a lot of my own free time into it, and just to get it off the ground this year. So yeah, look at small entry, but I had really good quality in the race, and thankfully the weather was good and kind of everything ran smoothly in the day. So we're trying to build on it now for next year.
Great. And I suppose, looking at the race itself with the legs, the different legs that you had in it, the race in Donegal had previously been one of the, toughest races up in Donegal. There it was for 24 hours was your max time, if I remember rightly. It has gone and it left a big space, and it was brilliant to see you step into that and bring your own race to it and different touches. And obviously, I'm sure you added in some nice hills. I was assured that there was some nice grueling hills there on the bike for people. Uh, would you maybe give us a little bit about the bike course there? Because I did hear quite a bit about it.
Yeah, well, I suppose the race was obviously it was a major event when it happened for the 5 or 6 years that it ran, and I think there was a massive void there when it stopped operating, kind of during COVID. Really, is what kind of killed it off, which is a really shame because even myself, I was ready 2 years in a row for it, and it didn't happen, and then it just went by the wayside. So I suppose with that kind of in mind, I wanted to bring a race to the county again of similar standing, and obviously I know the roads well around here and I know the terrain, and I've raced all over the world myself. So to be honest, there's what we have here in Donegal is good, and look, there was lots of places that could have taken the race and made it harder, but at the same time, I wanted to make it a race that you could actually race it from start to finish. To make it just that hard enough that it's going to challenge people, but also that if there is a race on, it's not just a death march to the end. So I suppose the breakdown of the race, really, there's a beautiful 7 kilometer run at the start. I suppose the concept of that is just to break up the field a little bit, and then you go on to a 50 kilometer bike stage, which is draft legal. So I think that's kind of unique outside of any other race that you do other than the short stuff. You're nearly always non-drafting, but I wanted to have it as a draft legal first 50k, because you're going to be in bunches at that stage. It's going to be very hard to actually marshal that, and I think it adds an element to the race as well, where you've got to really get a good position that first 7k run, so that you get in with a good bike group, and it can make or break your race very early on. Yeah, that first bike, I'd say it's challenging enough. I think you're hugging the coastline the whole time, so you're always exposed to the westerly winds. That's what makes it difficult, and the road surface is rough, not rough, but just dead, and it's tough cycling. But it's 50k. The lads rattle through it pretty quickly. I think an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. And then you're in then to transition Dunlewy. Now we're very lucky to get Dunlewy. It's a great base. We actually transitioned from bike to run to kayak and back to bike. So we used that as a hub. Yeah, I think one of the stages that people commented on and can ask the guys later is the actual aerial run. So unlike other races where you get to the base of the mountain and you run it, we actually started this from Dunlewy. So there's an extra probably 5 kilometers before you can get to the base of the mountain. So it's a really challenging stage, 16 kilometers. And then we obviously had an 11-kilometer kayak on the lake at Dunlewy. Good tester. And I think that took more out of people than they realized. A lot of people were in good shape before it, and they came out fairly beat up after. So it's something that people need to be aware of for next year if they're training for the event. That they've got to give that stage respect.
I was actually with Seb at that stage, and we came out of the lake. We went up the hill to the road, and then all of a sudden we were going back down, I guess, to Dunlewy village, and we said to each other, we thought it was uphill to Errigal, but we went downhill for so long, and then you had a good you pop back on a trail that just brought us back up, which was all extra, so it was definitely interesting extra kind of 4k. It wasn't just running on the road, it was an interesting little downhill to the village and back up the trail and that's where some spectators were able to see us as well, if they could skip on ahead, and it was just it was good kind of variety.
Yeah, I suppose that there is variety in the course. I mean, there's 3 runs. Like the first run is a dune run along sand dunes and the beach. The middle run is Errigal, and then the last run is country road, but takes you to this huge railway track, and you're up under the shadow of Muckish, and there's bog roads, there's the railway track, and then there's a kind of final 5k descent to the village. So there's good variety. I suppose the big bike is the one that people are talking about, I guess, and yeah, look at it's challenging. It's 117 kilometers, quite a few punchy climbs in it. I suppose the main one really is what we call Shanky. It takes you up Knockalla. People will be familiar with Knockalla. So it's a pretty punchy climb. Now you do have a nice descent after and some stunning views. And then you have the Atlantic Drive, which is tricky enough in places too. So I don't think there's anything in there that's unnecessary. Everything kind of comes at the right time, I think. And it wears you down, but at the same time, you can see from the results that it was a race right to the end, and it's. I think the layout of the course works good. It works good for the teams as well because there's 6 stages. If you're a team of 3, you're doing 2 each, and it's up to you which 2 you do. So, yeah, look, hopefully the course can stay the same going forward. I'm kind of busy planning at the minute again with the stakeholders. You've got your national parks and your ESB and stuff to deal with. So, thankfully everything went off well this year. So the plans are well underway for next year.
And Sean, just before I suppose we kind of talk to the lads in a bit more detail about the course and that, the name of it, I was calling it the Balor, but it's called the
Balor.
Balor. So
yeah, Balor. So I suppose it ties in with the what's the local history of the area here in northwest Donegal. So Balor was the mythical god of the area. He lived in Tory Island, and he had an evil eye in the center of his forehead. So if you look at the logo of the race, it's an evil eye with a crown. So he was the king of Tory. And a lot of the place names we go through, like the Poison Glen, for example, that's where he was slain there. He was killed there. Poison Glen. There's different things around the place which is all related to Balor, and so it's just tied in nicely with just the whole area and the Celtic area and that as well. So yeah, that's where the name came from.
Very good. I mean, you alluded there to just when you were talking about the course, and you alluded to a good spot there near the village for people. I suppose it was like a little hub there. So you must have had a lot of spectators around that area, I suppose, in that sense, because it was quite near the different sections.
Yeah, well, one of my aims for this race is to have it as not a big event, but to have it as an event where people come for the weekend. I mean, registration's Friday, the race is all day Saturday, but I've actually designed the course to be in places that are easily accessible for spectators. And the likes of Dunlewy, there's a massive playground there. I'm used to their playground, so like I was encouraging families to bring kids. They can play in the playground in between the stages. Even the spectator viewing for the lake, there's a walk that goes along the shoreline, and there's people all along the shoreline watching the race. And then the race finishes in Dunfanaghy, and I've kept it in the middle of the town, in the middle of the village. I could have taken it out to one of the transition areas, but I wanted to be based in the town. And then people are just visiting, see it, and they come and spectate. And we're tied in with one of the local businesses there. So, I mean, it was great to see people hanging around and kind of support, cheering next people in. If you had a finished summer remote, people would just jump in the car and go at home, you know. So I think the idea behind this is to create a good buzz about it, and it's more than just a race. You know, it's kind of the long-term goal, really, is that people will come for the weekend and make a weekend of it, have a good race, and have a good time.
Yeah, and I think really we were kind of missing something like that, definitely for a while now, and I think there's been a want for that kind of bit of a longer race that people can get into and test themselves.
Like I suppose myself, like I'm used to doing the shorter quest scale 4 stuff, 3-4 hour races, and I still enjoy those, but I'm probably looking for something that's around the 10, 12, 14 hour mark, and there's very few of those races available. The next step up is your expedition races, multi-day stuff, and again, they're not solo as such. So outside of coast to coast New Zealand, you're going to be searching for long multi-sport solo races. So again, it was another driving factor for doing this, and I think it's a good bridge between the people who are doing the short stuff and those that are doing the multi-day. It was interesting to see how the lads raced each other, especially. We had Seb and David McKelvey, who are obviously short distance experts, and then we had Kevin here on the call and Johan, the overall winner, who are obviously experts at the multi-day stuff. But I mean, they mixed it. Both guys mixed it well with the fast boys and vice versa. So that's really intrigued me going into the race. I was kind of, how's this going to play out? So I think it's accessible for everybody, really. And I think the team element is really a good introduction to the longer stuff. If you're to take 2 stages, you could choose to do the 7K run and the 11K kayak, or if you're a cyclist, you could do the two bikes. So I'm kind of encouraging people to look at that for next year. You might have somebody who just loves kayaking, and they can do the kayak and maybe do the short run, for example. Get yourself a good cyclist and get yourself a good runner, and you could have a really fast team, So yeah, I'm going to be pitching that to some people.
Yeah, I think it was great. Like I really enjoyed. I kind of got carried away there at one stage when I was dot watching, because it was great to see the lads doing so well. And then Kellyanne was up there with Laura at one stage, and I could see Finn and Sharon behind and stuff like that. You were there going, like it was tight all around. So it was really good to see, and to see that there was a nice group of females down there to race as well. I know you said it was small, but because of that, it was good to see that there was a nice round number of females down there that were out there
Yeah,
fighting
and
it
we
out.
actually had a couple more who just unfortunately didn't make the start line.
Mm.
So at one stage there was a lot more women in than men, and only for a couple of injuries, it would have been level pegging at the end.
Yeah, which is great to see,
Mhm.
because even if you go back 4 or 5 years ago, that may not have been the case. So it's great to see that there's a lot more females coming into racing now and beginning to
Yeah, for
get
sure.
out there.
And we had a few in the team events as well. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, and I know it is interesting to see that often the females measure their effort a lot better than the men, and they finish really strong. Yeah, so it's always good to watch that side of the race. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I suppose if we throw it out there to the guys, if we come to you, Sharon, first, I suppose, just in terms of the biking section there that we were talking about, maybe the long bike, how did you find the course overall for you?
I enjoyed the course. Like, I'm from Malin, so hills. I train on hills all the time, so I didn't mind the hills. The part I found quite hard was the mountain. I found that challenging, and it was more a state of mind than physical, because you came off the bike, like the first bike, and you just thought, I have this 16K tough climb ahead of me. And I found now that was a tough, getting to the top of Errigal was difficult. Once I was at the top, then it was just a different mindset altogether. And then that was it. I knew then, I thought that was my wall, I suppose. The kayaking was, as Sean said, you sometimes you can think, oh, I'll just get the kayaking done, it'll be fine, I'll get it done. The kayaking was tough, because when I was out on the lake, there was it was quite windy and it was choppy. So you were pulling, you had to pull hard to get around it. But the bike, yes, Shanky, the hill there that Sean referred to, was, I had never done that hill before, and it was tough. It was long and it was tough, but it was a great course. Like, it's just like Donegal is so beautiful, and you see so much of it in that race. You really see the best of it. So it was great to see Donegal having an event like that. It was really, there was such a gap for it. And I do love the longer stuff. Like, I loved doing the training and challenging myself to get around the course. So it was just a great day, a great event.
Brilliant. And Sharon, I know you finished joined third with Finn. I know Finn would have done the race in Donegal many moons ago. I think she was fourth overall, I think maybe in 2018 or 2019, something like that. When did the two of you join forces, or where did you come across one another on the course?
Well, I would have known Finn. Myself and Finn did last year. We were chatting one day, and we decided that we would do the Mizzen to Malin cycle. So we said, well, we'll just get on the bikes in Mizzen and we'll just cycle up the road and see how long it took us. So we done that straight up. I don't know, it was about 30 odd hours, I think it took us. So that's kind of, we were talking then. So when we get talking, things kind of get dangerous, because we come up with this, what will we do next? So myself and Finn, we met at the day of the race. We met on Errigal. We were chatting on Errigal, where we passed each other on Errigal. And then we kind of met then on the second bike, and we were kind of together then, off and on after that. So it was great. Finn is she's a great athlete and such a strong person. So it was great to have her, like, to be with her at that section, and we just kind of urged each other on.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it's always great to have a bit of company on those longer races. Yeah, absolutely. I'll just move on to Kevin then for a few moments as well. So Kevin, you had a bit of a tussle up the top there. I know there was a change in the lead a couple of times. The three of you were kind of relatively together throughout most of the race, or correct me if I'm wrong there. Again, I was only watching, so I was just trying to gauge it from that. But you weren't too far apart at any stage really during the race. I suppose, how did you find that, being so close racing together? you're racing your teammate, your past and future teammate out there as well. So I suppose just putting all that into perspective, and Seb is obviously well known on the adventure racing scene. You know, he's solo champion a couple of times, and that. So how did that all come about for you?
Yes.
How did the race unfold?
So it's kind of like Sean said, it was really interesting because of the drafting in stage 2. You know, like it wasn't just off you go at start and you just do your best you can for 12 hours or whatever it was. You know, you actually had to be kind of clued in from the start. And we started in the town, and it was actually just like perfect little start. It was just before dawn. Like you kind of probably would have taken a head torch if you were just out for a jog, but again, no one wanted to wear an extra head torch and do all that. So we ran through a little forest, and we popped out into these sand dunes, and we just had like, it was a cool moon and the sun was just about kind of coming up. And it was even from there, the tactics already started. So myself, David, and Seb kind of had a little group. One of the relay guys was a little bit ahead of us, and we had a little bit of a gap in Johan, and you could see Seb already, you know, the kind of the tactics of the short races. He was looking back and telling us, we've got a few seconds here, let's push on. And then just before we were coming into the finish, we were discussing drafting in a group. All of a sudden it became, let's work together. So we had a few seconds on Johan, and up the road we went, and Johan then put a massive effort in to catch us, which was grand. So then we had the 4 of us, and we were kind of taking turns. And then this is the most amazing part of this whole story and how Johan won. We were only about 6K into the bike, and he got a little bit dropped, which is unlike Johan anyway, but you know, he just a little bit dropped. We didn't like hammer it to drop him or anything like that. It was just maybe, I think it was maybe a bit of a small mechanical or something. He was kind of fiddling with his derailleur, touching it as he was cycling. So that could have just set him back a few seconds. But you know yourself, when you're not in the group and you lose the tail, and he probably had 100 meters back, and we were pushing along kind of nicely, the 3 of us taking it in turns, and we caught the relay team, and he kind of helped a little bit as well. And I actually felt like bad for Johan after 20K. I hadn't looked back at this stage. I was like, geez, you know, like he only just missed this little bit. And, you know, if he was just in the back of the group, you're using so much less energy. And then all of a sudden, instead of David coming around me to do a turn, it was Johan again. And we were like, it's like Lazarus, like there's no, you know, usually you don't come back from that stuff, you know. And so like that kind of probably like, I don't know, was it 10 or 15K of him just putting the head down and catching us. Basically, like without doing that at that point in the race, it would have been completely different. But then you're right, yeah, it kind of was nip and tuck then for the next bit. Myself and Seb got away up the mountain a little bit, and we had a few minutes on David and Johan. Not much though, was all kind of within kind of seeing distance of each other. And then on the lake, again, it was actually really good. I know Sean had planned to do like a kind of a big loop of one lake and another big loop of a second lake, and that would be the total kayak. But with whatever restrictions and stuff, we had to do 3 laps of the one lake. But it actually worked out really good, because that's when, like Sharon, all of us came together. You know, you had all the relay teams, you had all the individuals, you know, like, because even doing well on the lake, you're out there for well over an hour. So like all them people behind you, everybody caught up with each other. And again, like Sean was saying, the supporters were kind of on the beach and on the rocks, and there was somebody out in the lake for everybody, and you could kind of see what was going on. And obviously we had great views of Ergal. So it was just kind of interesting. And then yeah, we popped out of transition, and all of a sudden, you know, within 2 or 3 minutes, we were all kind of in transition at different stages of transitioning. And obviously that was going to the long bike, so we kind of probably took an extra 30 seconds there just to make sure we had a little bit of fuel, because again, it was unsupported. So whatever you were carrying with you on the bike, that was it for the next 4+ hours. So like, it wasn't that we weren't allowed to use support on the road to give you an extra bottle. So, you know, you're kind of thinking about, will I put an extra bottle in my bib shorts or my pockets in the back, and what food will I bring? You know, like you're kind of you plan it all beforehand. But then after going up Mount Ergal, you were using a lot of energy, and we'd been on the go for 2 hours before that already. And then the kayak and the water, you know, you always get a bit hungry in the kayak. And yeah, so I think I got out in the lead there. But then Seb, who's quite strong on the bike, he kind of powered past me, and kind of made up a little bit of ground. I think he got about 7 or 8 minutes ahead of me at one stage. And I hadn't seen David or Johan now. I had seen him in transition, but I was kind of waiting for them to catch me. Now again, it wasn't drafting, so they couldn't work together, so it did kind of even out. and kind of was waiting for one of them to appear. And after an hour and a half, there was no sign of either of them. So I was like, we're probably going around the same speed. And I was hoping maybe I was gaining on him. And yeah, then we went up those big hills that Sean was saying. There was some gorse fires that were kind of spectacular to see, a little bit in the distance. And we kind of had a tailwind for maybe like 60k ish, and then we had to turn into the headwind and hills coming home. But yeah, we got to that last transition, and I think Seb had 5-6 minutes on me, and I was kind of getting changed, hoping not to see Johan. My plan was to get in and get out ahead of him. And no, the fecker, he arrived in 2 minutes after me. And again, we hadn't seen each other around 4 hours. You have to remember, like, you kind of, you're in your own head, you're kind of thinking things, am I going good or bad or different? And didn't really have much of an idea of any gaps or anything. And because my support crew, instead of helping me and supporting me, he went off up Ergil himself to climb it while he was waiting around. So
who did you have with you, Kevin? Was it Nicky?
Nicky's brother Timmy, actually.
Oh,
he was
Tim.
he would have been well used to doing a lot of the adventure racing stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
So he was, I was trying to get him to do the event, but he was happy to do a bit of support. So we got to that transition, and I transitioned as fast as I could, but I was trying to change my shoes and I was cramping already, so I knew I was in a bit of trouble. And then so like Sean said, the last leg I was terrified of from like when I first saw the course. It was like a 24k trail run, kind of like a greenway type of thing. I think it was like paved recently, but like really, really cool into the hills, and you're kind of tucked away from the world. But I kind of thought it would be like a difficult leg where he'd purposely like throw in like dirty hills, and where like expedition race directors would put in like really dirty last leg just to kind of piss you off. I thought it was going to be like that, but luckily it was still tough enough. But it was the right level of at that stage. You could still kind of run it. You could still push along in it, if you were physically and mentally strong enough. And like Johan just went past me at maybe 3k into it. I would say like a train, but that's only what it felt like to me, because I couldn't go faster than whatever pace I was going, and he just went past. And then there was this out and back with maybe like 10k to go, 12k to go, and you could actually see each other. And I saw Johan and I gave him a cheer, but I didn't see Seb. But then in fairness to Johan, he caught up Seb with maybe 10k to go, and he passed him, and he put a good few minutes into him in the end. And it was, just a really good racy race. Like from where I was going into that last leg, I could have come first, second, or third. Unfortunately for me, I came third. Johan could have also come first, second, or third, and he managed to come first. So, it was just this cool kind of just dynamic that was going on. And like you said, I think the ladies race as well, especially Laura and Kellyanne, like they were very close. And yourself at the end of a long day, like 5-10 minutes is absolutely nothing going into the final kind of couple of hours. You can just lose that in no time at all if your legs have gone. And so it was a really, really good finish. And like, I just going back to Sean, what he was saying, it was really good that we finished right in the middle of the town. There was a little marquee set up outside the pub, and people just arrived in. And especially the relay teams, it was good because they could go straight to the pub, and they were all kind of making a bit of atmosphere as well. And it was the right kind of finish, as opposed to a transition a mile or two outside of town and you're kind of just hopping in a car, disappearing. So the whole race was really, really good. And in fairness to Johan, like he was just very, very strong at the finish. But like I said, at the very, very start as well, the fact that he didn't get dropped when he could have lost 15 minutes there, and you don't kind of come back from that. So it was very impressive, and just kind of showed that, maybe the long distance stuff is kind of comes into play after 12 hours. And that's what was interesting. None of us knew how any of us would fare against each other. Like a 3-hour race or 4-hour race, you kind of have a pecking order. Long distance stuff is a bit up in the air anyway. You just, it depends on how your team goes and everything. So this was kind of just right in the middle. It was proper racing for 12 hours, but anything could happen at any stage. And it kind of played out a little bit like that. So it was very well thought out course, and really, really interesting.
Yeah, I definitely, from a spectator, from a dot watching point of view, like it was nail biting stuff. I actually didn't know who to shout for. I was there going, oh my God, Seb, Johan, oh Lord, Kevin. I was there going, Jesus, somebody who's gonna get it. And yeah, it was really good. And I think for ye as well, I know sometimes, when you're out there and you're racing, you put everything on the line, and you're so close but yet so far away in one way. It is hard, but I think there's again, an awful lot of good camaraderie out there on the adventure racing course. And I think that even what you're saying there, and the words that you're saying about Johan and Seb, and that it's just really nice to hear that you're all that respectful of one another, just like Sharon was saying about Finn as well, and how they get on. And when you're on the race course, while that's a bit forgotten, there is always still a cheer or whatever as you did for your teammate out there. Um, I suppose, what would you have taken away? I didn't ask you, Sharon, so I'll come back to you in a second. Kevin, from that, what I suppose have you taken away from that race? I mean, I don't know, from a solo perspective, is that probably one of the longest ones you've done of that kind of caliber?
Yeah,
Or
it would be, I say, yeah, because like there's not many other ones like that, unless you're doing ultra running now or something like that, which would
yeah,
be, but
yeah,
like for multi-sport stuff, that was
yeah,
kind of, yeah. So like my takeaway was that, look, first of all, the quality was really good, and the big part of this is that your skills had to be very good at everything. Like Sean had the race open that you could use a road bike with TT bars, you could use a time trialing bike if you had one. You needed to be quite proficient at actually running fast and up and down mountains. And if your kayaking was good, again, there's minutes to be saved. So, like if you're out there practicing your kayaking, and again, he said it in the race briefing, this isn't a token kayak for, 5 minutes. This is 70, 80, 90 minutes of kayaking, So again, it just focuses you to get training properly for all these events. So I think it just ups your skills a bit. You can kind of get away with like your skill level in some, say, longer team races, because again it's pitched at a different speed, and you're navigating, it's a bit slower. So for me, I felt it was a really good race just to kind of do that sort of distance. Like 225k is a lot of distance to cover, and do it properly, racing, pushing more or less hard the whole way. Obviously you have to be kind of somewhat conscious to start of not burning out, but we were pushing the whole way like a proper race, and managing yourself for that, and making sure you're fueled up and you're moving well and you're transitioning fast. And so for me, it was like the high skill level was what was so good. But at the same time, anybody could do that race as such. If you need to do a bit of training, and you need to get your kind of mind set to be out there. Like I think Sean had the course open for 22 hours, that was potentially. So like the scope is there for anyone to do it. And I hope a lot of the relay teams kind of saw that as well, because there's a few people were buzzing after it, having done their 2 or 3 legs. And I think a lot of people were kind of talking about doing the full thing next year and kind of having that goal. But and again, like Sean said, he didn't put it wasn't this like killer course just to make you suffer. Like it was more than hard enough. It was very, very hard and plenty of height gain, but he didn't go nuts to absolutely destroy you at the end when you're already tired. So like you finish it kind of, I'm not saying strong, but you're finishing it okay, and if you look after yourself, you can kind of recover from it as well. And so like, yeah, that I take away that the scenery was amazing, the skill level was high, you had to kind of train for it. And for me, it really, I hope, sets things up for the rest of the summer. Like you've got a good foundation in early now in the year, and hopefully that will kind of lead to good things in the rest of the summer, that you're already kind of fit and organized. So but it was a high quality organized race as well. Like it really felt like a premium race, like all the branding that you had, Sean, the pictures and the tracking, and even all the arrows for her. So the bike was all these little flags. I think you had like 800 little flags made out. I don't know, did you have like slave labor going on at the school or something? But even the little arrows that he had for every like junction, it was like a yellow arrow, but with the Balor, or the Balor eye on all of them. So it felt like a premium event from start to finish. So like I really hope that I think some of the footage he probably got was amazing as well, because somehow we managed to get like an amazing day. Like it was really nice Sharon and Finn might say it wasn't quite amazing for the last few hours, but for most of the day it was really nice. It was like, good temperature, sun was out, the views of Ergel were amazing, the lakes were amazing. So I hope that like people will see that and get excited by it next year.
Yeah, I definitely think I think people will definitely get excited about it, because there's definitely an appetite for something a bit longer out there. So I would hope, and I would say, Sean, that yeah, hopefully you'll definitely have a few more people next year added to your list along the line, because there's definitely an appetite out there for it. Um, Sharon, I suppose, what did you take away from the race? We alluded to the fact you were third. Congratulations as well.
Thank
Yourself
you.
and Finn came across the line. was that a decision that you both made? Did you decide to do that as you were coming in? And also then what did you take away from it? So I'll leave you answer those two.
Yeah, we did make the decision to come in together. We did. What would I take away? Well, I'm coming from the other end of it, I suppose, from Kevin, whereas I didn't, when I entered, I was challenging myself. I love the endurance, I love the long stuff. I wanted to do the training. Now, I would approach it the next time. I didn't. I suppose I only made the decision in January that I was going to go for it. So the training started in earnest then. I would like to put more training into it and go again, because I think I have more in the tank, I have more to give. But from somebody who wants to step up to the longer distances, get the training in and challenge yourself. It's such a good course for that, for really challenging yourself. You have everything in it. And for especially a woman who, sometimes they can doubt if they can do a course like that. And I think that will be the perfect course, the perfect way to challenge yourself. Do the training. You have everything, and you have your cycling, your running, your kayaking, climbing, everything's in it. Do the groundwork, and it's such a great event and a great challenge. And I would encourage, and I would love to see more women stepping up and doing that, and just give it a go. There is such, as Kevin said, there's such support there. It's such a great group of people. Like we had so many people on the course that night, because we got the worst of the weather. We got the rain, the temperatures dropped very quickly. We done the last run in the pitch dark, so you were out in the kind of the back of Muckish in the dark. And I was very glad to have finished because I didn't know how brave I would have been on my own. But we had so many people out, and they were saying, like, we were dot watching you, we were just willing you to finish, because I felt that we were kind of representing the athlete that they, like, for myself personally, I knew I was never going to be up front. I was never going to be racing it like the rest of the ladies who were so strong. So for the people who want to challenge themselves, I would say go for it. And that's what I took away. You do the work and you'll do it. You will do it.
Yeah, here. I totally agree with you. I think it's just to find that bit of courage to get out there and do it. Yeah, because you can. If you can do the shorter ones, you can definitely do the longer ones.
Yeah,
100%. 100%. I suppose, Sean, just going back to you, is there anything that you'd like to add that maybe that I haven't covered?
No, it's great to hear the two guys there talking about the race, and I suppose one of the best moments for me in the race was seeing Sharon and Finn up at Muckish. Myself and my wife actually went up to see them. Don't know what time of night it was, but you could see the two head torches coming across the lake, and I was delighted to see them, team up and to see it out, and that's what the race is all about, You have people who are in 11 hours, and you have people who are 18 plus. And look, it is achievable. Like the 22 hours cut off. It's more than enough if you apply yourself, definitely. And yeah, I suppose like next year, obviously I want the event to grow. I still want to keep that feeling where I know everybody that's in the race, and I think that was a big thing this year, that you could name everybody, and you knew their background and that, and we had quite a lot of locals took on the race as well. So great to see that local support. You need that, for the race. But also, like, there's people internationally contacting me about it as well. So it'd be great to get that on board, and just to have an event that not only Donegal needs, but even put Ireland on the map when it comes to multi-sport racing, because there's nothing of this kind of distance and disciplines around, even in Europe, you'll struggle to find one. So it's quite a unique race. I suppose the other thing is you have access to crew at your two main transition areas. So you're not on your own for the day if you're doing it as a solo. You do meet your crew several times, and they're there to provide food, clothing, mechanical assistance at those transition areas. So outside of that, you're on your own. But I think that's definitely an element of the race that it gives people a wee bit of comfort, knowing that if they come off Errigal, at least they're going to see a familiar face and they can get themselves straightened out again for the next stage. So that's a big part of the race. But yeah, I suppose looking forward to next year. The provisional date at the moment is the 25th of April. So we're going a couple of weeks later. It's just the way that Easter falls, and just been able to get access to different places. So people want to pencil that in for now, and hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks' time we'll have entry open for next year.
And just going back there as well, Sean, you alluded to the teams. I think Declan was there, wasn't he, from Team West?
That's right.
Yeah, so it was great to see them out and about and racing hard. So I was there was just too many people to be tracking.
Yeah, they quite a
There was-
strong team. Adam Spear was
Yeah.
cyclist and Barry Foley was a kayaker. So there's definitely good scope there for a good team competition. And I previously organised the 555, the Donegal Lanigway Ultra, and the big part of that race was, yes, you had your solos that did it, but the most crack and the best atmosphere was from the teams, because you break it down into shorter distances. There's good banter between them. There's lots of local derbies going on and stuff, and I definitely encourage that side of the race too. That's what brings people into the sport, and you don't have to be out doing 20+ hours training a week to take it on as a team.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great way as well, I think, to kind of get into it. Did you have any female teams?
I had one all-female team. Yeah. So Joan Ryan and 2 other girls. So yeah, they were a joy to have in the race. Such good women. Yeah, they had smiles on their faces every stage, and
That's great.
yeah, it was class having them. And in fairness, they did really well. They were strong throughout, in every discipline. So yeah, I was delighted to have them, and hopefully they'll be back next year too.
Cool. So, I mean, all in all, it was a really good success. So, congratulations on your first year. Wishing you the best for next year, and I'm sure you'll definitely have good numbers for next year, and it'll be interesting watching. I suppose before we round it off, Kevin, is there anything that you'd like to just add, or anything that I haven't asked that you'd like to maybe just talk, or have we covered everything from your perspective?
Yeah, no, just I guess my perspective, just as an individual, is that just to encourage people to go out and do all these races. There's so much out there in the adventure racing kind of calendar now. Like, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes from a lot of different people. Obviously the solo stuff is quite successful for the last few years, but the team adventure racing stuff is getting quite big, and there's a lot of good quality events out there. Sean's race was another one, just another string to the bow of what's happening in Ireland. Obviously the Beast is on again this year, and entries I think are still open. Like, all this stuff is, it's not easy to organize, and it obviously requires people to turn up and to do it. And just from my perspective, again, as an individual racer, or well, with teams as well, that like they're really, really good, and value for money, they're amazing. Most of them, like the team adventure race stuff, the value for money is amazing. What you get, you get like 6-7 hours of racing, maps, everything, a real well thought out course, and it's all voluntary. Again, like, just for people just to be aware of these things and turn up and do them, and like Sharon was saying, don't be afraid. Just like, a lot of the time courses are set up that, like, say Sean's course was set up that you could keep going for 22 hours. So if you weren't that fast, you could just keep tipping away, and once you had the right attitude, you'd get to the finish line and you get your reward. And same with other, like the Beasts and such. Like, there's short course options you can kind of still be out there for 24 hours, but not cover as much ground. But you can kind of have your own race within the race. So my thing is to support all these races and initiatives like Sean's initiative up in Donegal, the Adventure Racing Ireland initiatives. Just people get on board, because it is important. And if people don't turn up, these things go away, and like, they're not easy to get back up and running. So I think there's hopefully a bit of a golden era in adventure racing in Ireland at the moment, and if we can just keep developing it, it'll be for the benefit of us all, because they're fantastic events. Like, the places you go and the places you see, you know, like you might think you know an area, and then all of a sudden you go do and race there, and you see, okay, that race director found some stuff that was just. There's actually one that just comes to mind there, the Kilworth one, the Defence Forces one last year. It's in Cork. It's only like half an hour up the road from me, and they had a checkpoint, one of the bonus checkpoints, at this little waterfall that I probably have been within 2 or 3K of many times, but had never made an effort to get to this little bit. And you see this spectacular little thing that you just would never have seen otherwise. And that was my first time up Errigal for Donegal, and you know, you make the effort to go places. So support all the adventure races that are out there, and I think it's for the best for us all.
Yeah, it's great to see the team adventure races coming back as well, and yeah, we seem to be getting a lot of new people on board, so it's really nice to see that, and they're enjoying them, and that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin. And Sharon, on your perspective, is there anything else that you'd like to add that I didn't ask, or anything that you'd like to finish up on?
It would be just as well that, you know, I know the training, there's a huge training commitment to do the solo event, but the team just reiterating what the two guys were saying about the team, like, there's so, for in a woman's perspective as well, that life is busy, life is hard, it's a lot to take on to do a solo, but to get together, like those three ladies that had that team, that were competed as part of that team, were, oh my gosh, they were just amazing. They were the nicest girls. They had a smile, they were laughing, they thoroughly enjoyed it. And you know, you can put a team together, get your runner, get your kayaker, get your cyclist, and get together and just get out there and take part. And that's what I would say, just go for it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sharon. And Sean, I leave the last word to you.
Hello, I'm actually looking forward now to doing the Beast, actually. So myself and Kevin are teaming up, and Johan and Elise. So yeah, looking forward to giving that a good go now in a few weeks' time. We need to give it a fitness back to catch up with these lads again. I think the race directing role took a lot out of me, actually. Might have been easier doing the race, but no, it's 3-4 weeks away. So really looking forward to that. And yeah, looking forward to getting everything up and going again for Balor next year also. Yeah.
Great. Well, best luck with Balor next year. I hope I get some more dot watching, and it's all exciting. So really looking forward to
You might
that.
get an entry in yet, Lorraine.
Oh, gotta be an excuse to get back to it. Huh? But thanks a million, Kevin, for joining us, and thanks so much as well, Sharon. I really appreciate it. And Sean, we will see you at the Beast with Kevin, and congratulations on a great race. And I think everyone really enjoyed it, and the dot watching was brilliant.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you for having us.
Thanks all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, Lane.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.